Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth and I'm back with another easy weeknight dinner that you can make for yourself or your family or whoever you want. This week I am making a really simple shrimp curry. Obviously curry is used in many parts of the world for a lot of amazing different recipes. This one is just really basic. I made this recipe sort of up, but a key ingredient is this Thai kitchen red curry paste, which really gives it a lot of its awesome flavor. So I guess it's a little bit Thai inspired. Along with this curry paste, you're going to need rice. I'm using brown rice because I've always heard it's healthier, but I think probably white rice would be maybe even more appropriate. But you can use either. And 3 cans of coconut milk. I'm using regular, but you could use light if you wanted. And some carrots, some broccoli, 2 red peppers, an onion, some fresh ginger that you're going to grate or chop up, a bunch of garlic, and then if you are using shrimp, you are going to need shrimp. And you could also replace that with tofu, chicken, whatever you wanted, but I'm using shrimp tonight. So that is everything that you'll need, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So first things first, I got the rice started and it's on the stove. So that's just gonna cook on its own and I'll add more liquid as needed. And I diced the onion and just threw that in the big pot. And I'm now going to chop the garlic and the ginger before I turn the onion on. Ginger is so delicious and adds such great flavor, but it can be kind of a pain to work with because it comes in these little nubs and you have to peel it you can't eat the peel. So I am just kind of cut it, and I'm going to cut it into little parts and try to make it a bit easier for me to peel. Sometimes I use a vegetable peeler, sometimes I use a knife, depending on how little the little nubbins are, whatever you want to call them. But I'm going to peel it and then chop it up into very fine little pieces. You could also grate it if you wanted to. So I peeled the ginger and the garlic and chopped them up. And I also drizzled some olive oil on the onions that are on the stove. So those are on now, and they're just gonna simmer for a few minutes and kind of get soft and clear before I add the ginger and garlic. So at this point, I'm going to wash and chop the carrots because that will be the next ingredient that goes in after the garlic and ginger here. So the onions are looking good. They've softened a bit. They're starting to get pretty clear. So I am adding in the garlic and ginger that I chopped up. And I'm gonna give that a good stir and just let it cook for maybe a minute until you can really start to smell those spices, or those, whatever you wanna call them. And then I'm gonna add in the carrots because those are the toughest vegetable that we're adding, and I'm gonna just let those cook for a couple minutes before I add in the other stuff. I just added the carrots in, a little bit of broccoli that I chopped got in there too. And they are just gonna cook with the onions, garlic, and ginger for 3 or 4 minutes before we add in the next ingredient, which will actually be the Thai curry paste, and then some coconut milk. If you need a little more olive oil here, feel free to add that. And I'm actually gonna put in some salt and pepper at this point too. Not a ton, but just a bit. So I did chop up the broccoli and the red pepper real quick while the carrots and everything else were cooking down a little. And I rinsed the shrimp, which is over in the sink. And in just a moment, I'm gonna add the red curry paste. So the onions and carrots and garlic and ginger have been in the pot for a few minutes together. Now I'm going to put in this red curry paste, and you kind of have to use a spoon to scoop it out. I'm not married to this brand or anything, it doesn't really matter, but they do seem to carry this at grocery stores, so this is what I tend to get. And that's about the right amount for this recipe. This is a 4-ounce jar. And I use the whole thing. And then you just want to stir the curry paste around and it'll break up and start to smell really, really good. And once it's kind of broken up, you can start adding in the coconut milk. And you kind of just do that slowly and let things mix around. I had said 3 cans before. I'm starting with 2 just to see how things look when I add the other veggies and the shrimp. Yeah, so at this point you're just going to kind of let that all sit together for a moment. And then you can add in the broccoli and the red pepper and the shrimp. The rice is just about done at this point. I have just added the shrimp into the curry, and I've brought it to kind of a low simmer. And I'm gonna give that about 5 minutes to start to turn pink, because that's when you can know that shrimp are done, when they're fully pink and opaque. And then once they just start to turn pink, I will throw in the broccoli and the red pepper. I personally like those veggies to be a little crispier in this dish, or crunchier, I guess. But if you wanted them softer, you could add them and the shrimp all at the same time. It's really up to you. After about 5 or 6 minutes of letting the shrimp cook, I threw in the broccoli and red pepper. And I did add the 3rd can of coconut milk because it seemed like it needed a little bit more liquid. So I'm gonna let that cook just for 4 or 5 minutes, make sure the shrimp are done, make sure the broccoli and the red peppers have just gotten softened a bit. And I did discover some cilantro in my fridge, so I'm gonna chop that up real quick to throw on top when this is all done. All right, so everything is done, and I'm gonna assemble my little bowl. Well, it's not gonna be little, because this is good. I always start with a few spoonfuls of rice, and this will absorb some of the liquid, so I usually do a pretty decent amount here. And then I'm going to do a few ladlefuls of the curry, or whatever you want to call it. Make sure I get veggies, make sure I get a good amount of liquid. I'm fishing for a couple shrimp here, make sure I get a couple of those. Delicious. And like I said, I had found some cilantro in my fridge, so I'm gonna sprinkle on just a few, no, not a few, some cilantro leaves. This is gonna be super hot, so I'll have to use my patience to wait and eat it, but it should be really good.